Is AJ going to be sick? Is AJ going to be ill? So what's up, you lot? My name is Saif, and before starting, as you can tell, the face cam thing is kind of new, kind of not. I did it before like once or twice, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue it. So I don't know if I want to do discussion videos with face cams, but I'm always trying to improve my content. So of course, if you like it, press the I button in the top right of your screen right now and vote yes if you like it, vote no if you don't, and depending on that I'll try to see if I'll make more content with face cam discussions or no. Depends on if you guys like it or not. So is AJ going to be ill? Is AJ going to be sick? That's very important because Inferno can actually brought this up while reacting and after like talking about the PAX West teaser. So there's a little clip where in AJ, the PAX West teaser, you can, one of the dialogue options when you're having a conversation with AJ is that you can say you look feverish, which is kind of out of the blue because the other options are kind of more complimenting AJ. So they're saying, yo, you gotta be strong and not stupid, or you can say you're the toughest boy I know.
You say be strong, and I will. All the time. You're the toughest boy I know. Probably the toughest boy in the whole world.
So calling out that he might be sick is a bit weird in my opinion. It kind of came out of nowhere. When I was watching it, I personally didn't see the fever or the potential sickness that he could have. So I felt it was a bit weird, but surely it must hold some sort of significance since it is an option that the player can mention. If it wasn't important, Telltale wouldn't include it in the actual choice dialogue, choice wheel kind of thing. So why is it mentioned? So of course, major props to Inferno. Obviously I wouldn't be making this video if you didn't tell me, because I didn't even notice, to be honest.
It's not in his eye.
You say be strong, and I will. All the time.
Yeah. Like fever? Like, it's not in his eye, under his eye.
He says that there is a little thing under his eye where he looks a bit ill. I don't think it was there in the first episode, so it's kind of significant why it's there now in the second episode anyway. So clearly his illness should have some sort of importance to the plot, right? Now I wanted to mention a theory that I learned in school, and it's kind of funny to mention, but it really does implicate and kind of maybe give a reason to why AJ could be ill and why Telltale decided to actually include that in terms of a story point of view. So if you guys know, if you guys do any sort of narrative studies or like film studies, that sort of thing, Chekhov's gun is a very important role. So Chekhov's gun is a dramatic principle that states that every element in a story, of course, must be necessary and irrelevant elements should be removed. Elements should not appear to make false promises by never coming into play. So if that didn't make sense to you guys, basically imagine this. So imagine in a storyline it says Clementine walks into a room and looks around and she finds the gun on the wall. If that gun is not going to come into play later in the episodes, if it's not going to have some sort of significance, then you shouldn't mention that she finds a gun on the wall. It should just be Clementine walks into a room and looks around. If that gun is not going to have some sort of importance in the actual storyline, then it shouldn't be mentioned. It should just be Clementine walks into a room and looks around, instead of Clementine walks into a room and looks around and she finds a gun. You see that difference? So the fact that they include AJ, you might look feverish, is kind of important, because why would they include that if it didn't have any sort of resemblance to the storyline? Now a lot of times there is some sort of red herring, which means basically that you draw attention to a certain element to mislead. So for example, in Telltale's Game of Thrones, spoilers of course, red herring idea would be Ethan Forrester. He's a red herring character. You think Ethan's very important as a character when playing episode 1, you know, he's the child lord, all his brothers just died, and now it's a child who wasn't really trained to lead or be a leader, is now going to be the leader of his house, and he's going to be the future of his house. So he's a red herring character because later on he dies and then he becomes just a motivation that throughout the story. He's a red herring character because you think you're going to be playing as Ethan for a long time, but realistically after that first episode when he dies, he only becomes a motivation to get vengeance for your family's death. So there you go, that's a red herring character. So Chekhov's gun theory or red herring, it depends. Obviously if it's Chekhov's gun theory, then it must have some sort of importance to the storyline. AJ being sick is going to have some sort of importance into the storyline. unless this whole AJ, you look a bit feverish and you're a bit ill, is a red herring, then it's kind of just done to mislead you and to kind of get you thinking more about AJ rather than actually drawing attention to the fact that he really might be ill and he might be suffering from some sort of illness. So obviously that happened. Obviously the fact that AJ was also born into the apocalypse means there was no sort of vaccination that he could take. Obviously in this current world, when you are born, all the way usually up to your pre-teens or something like that, you'll be getting vaccinations throughout your life to actually protect you and give you some sort of immunity against certain diseases like chickenpox, etc. AJ, obviously he was born into the apocalypse, which means it's safe to say that he hasn't had any sort of a vaccination, so his immune system is technically just going to be weak in general. An illness for AJ could be very important, and it could be very much possible that it could happen, but that is all I have to say. Do you guys think that is possible that AJ might be sick? Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Obviously that was me talking about AJ and how he might be sick and how important is it from a storyline perspective rather than just a game perspective. It could happen, it could not. Telltale could really make it, you know, a big part of the storyline, or they could just be doing it to kind of mislead you into giving it more attention than it really should. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me if you guys like the face cam thing with the discussions, or you'd rather have no face cam and just gameplay and voiceovers. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and